This year, for International Women's Day, we interviewed some incredibly brave and inspirational women that we admire. When women support each other, we can create an unstoppable force. Join us in celebrating these women who are mothers, grandmothers, daughters, sisters and friends.
My name's Jackie.
So you have your granddaughter full-time now?
Yes, I have.
How have you found the transition from being grandma to full-time carer?
There's two sides to it. There's the fun side of it and then there's the very restricted side of it, because I'd had my freedom. I was going on holiday with my friends, going on cruises, going over to Spain, going over to Cyprus. That's all been taken away. It's rather annoying when they keep going and sending me pictures. Whereas now I go on holiday with Kira. I love having Kira. She makes me laugh. She's very, very well behaved. I have to admit, I am envious because I'm at the age of my life now where I should be doing, I brought my kids up, should be doing what I want to do. I get a little bit resentful with her parents because they can go off and do whatever they want without a care in the world. But it's changed my life in a lot of ways, in good ways. I learn a lot about how to use my mobile phone and things like that.
How does it feel to be able to empower a young mind and pass your life experience onto a child in this generation?
I think actually it's, in a way, better being with your nan than with your mum, because I'm a lot more open. Whereas with Kira, I just say it straight. And she just goes, oh, okay, yeah, I get that, nan, all right. And I said, oh, conversation over. Because I'm quite a driven person, she's quite driven. She'll do well. I think, no disrespect to her parents, but I think she'll do better with me than she would with them, because she will go to college or university, she will get a good job. She's going to have to, because she's going to have to look after me. She knows that. She's my carer.
My name is Zara Rawlinson.
And can you tell us what you do?
Oh God, I do a lot. But my main, I suppose I have two hats. So I work full time doing anti-racism wellbeing work, but I've also set up an anti-racism workshop education programme in schools called Panda Anti-Racism Team. I moved from London to Kent in 2013, so we'd lived there our whole life, moved to Kent with our kids. My husband's white, so 3 mixed race children. Before we moved, I was kind of like, I move into an area that's not as diverse as London, obviously. Racism doesn't exist anymore because we kind of live in an area where there wasn't really anything. And within 6 months, my middle son, so he was 7 at the time, was called the N-word in the playground. And I was kind of like, oh. And then it happened again and again and again and again up until like a couple of months ago. The schools didn't know how to deal with it. So I would kind of look for support, couldn't find anything. I spoke to a lot of kids doing the work that I was doing at the time in mental health who were asking me questions like, can I tell you this joke? And can you tell me if it's racist? And they'd tell me the joke, and more often than not, it was racist. But they were like, oh my God, I didn't even realise. So what I realised, there was a lot of ignorance around it and a lack of education and people just not knowing what they could and couldn't say. So I was kind of like, well, if no one else is going to do it, then I will set up something. So then I started going into schools, delivering workshops, talking about racism, being anti-racist, stereotypes, all stuff like that. Do teacher training as well, and just try and normalise the conversation, I suppose, because I think everyone's really scared to talk about racism, but actually, if we talk about it, we can learn how to not do it and learn from our mistakes. So, yeah.
And what do you hope for the future?
I really hope that, I always say this, that my children couldn't get away from it. That it happened, it happens, but I hope with the education that future generations of children won't have to go through what my kids did. There was a lot of upset in our household a lot of the time, and I don't want other kids to have to deal with that. So I hope by having that education, they'll go, do you know what, I know this is wrong, or I'll be able to challenge it if I see it, and at some point, racism will go away, hopefully.
My name is Beth. I am the business owner of Rocket Sensory. It's a sensory room for under 4s and children with additional needs. So after having my eldest almost 5 years ago, I noticed that there weren't many places to take babies to locally that was music and sensory together. So I started teaching music classes in a tiny room at a local leisure centre. We had about eight babies, and it's just grown from there really. And I also realised that there is a huge need for sensory sessions for children with additional needs as well. So we've kind of put the two together. So we do classes and we do sensory sessions as well. And it's quite hard when you first start out to almost prove how good your business is without having people attend. So it took a while to build that up. It was actually COVID that built my business, and there were lots of mums that were really struggling at home and needed things to do with their children. And I think that's the main thing with the classes. It's not just about getting out with your baby, it's about meeting other mums and spreading the word. So obviously being a mum itself is incredibly hard and tiring and busy. On top of that, when you run your own business, you're kind of just juggling, and you just have to try and find time between being a mother to grow your business and to make sure that you're being successful. But we have the extra challenge where my eldest is autistic, so he does also need more support as well. The bonus is that my job means that actually what he needs and the sensory that he craves, he can get via my work. So the sensory room itself was built, and the design idea was from my son. So I knew what he liked. I knew that he liked certain lights, and I knew how to avoid sensory overwhelm. So actually my experience and he made such a huge part of it really. So in some ways it's hard because he does need that extra time, but also I can take him to work and he's happy, so it's good.
Did you have a support network of people behind you helping you?
Yeah, of course. Firstly, my mum, she always supports me. If it's with decorating the sensory room, looking after my two boys, giving me ideas, and then obviously my friends as well.
My name's Danielle. So in 2018, I was diagnosed with stage 4 breast cancer, which is incurable. It had spread to my liver. I was 6 months after having a baby as well, so it all came as a bit of a shock because I had no history of breast cancer in the family, and obviously just having a new baby, I was told it was hormonal and it was nothing to worry about. I was told that without treatment I would have probably 4 to 6 months to live. So I started treatment pretty much straight away the next week, 6 rounds of chemotherapy and 2 targeted therapy drugs, which I'm still on now. 3 months after my diagnosis, I found out that my breast was completely clear of the cancer, and then I think it was about 8 months after, I found out that my liver was clear and I was in a remission, which is pretty incredible for someone with stage 4 breast cancer, and that's how I've been now for the last 3.5 years. I started the Fitness Support Network in November 2021 off of the back of my own diagnosis and kind of getting to know how important fitness was for me in terms of my physical health, but also massively with my mental health. I'm someone that really struggles with anxiety, obviously due to my diagnosis, and I have like anger problems and things like that. So for me, exercise became an outlet for all these negative emotions that I have. And so I decided to start the Fitness Support Network to help other cancer patients. What we do is we give a 12-month membership to anyone that's in their first year of cancer, like a cancer diagnosis, unless they have stage 4 cancer, in which case they can apply at any time after their diagnosis, obviously because their treatment's ongoing. In that first year of active treatment, they have somewhere to go that they can let out all their feelings, I guess, and just keep themselves as physically well as possible during treatment. I think being a mum and then getting diagnosed, I think my drive to kind of show her, I mean, it completely changed obviously my outlook as a mum, as a new mum. It was my first child, and obviously I had this whole idea of having lots of children and siblings for her, and I can't do that now because I'm on active treatment forever. I am not able to have any more kids. So I have this one child who's my sole focus, and she's become my drive for everything. And I want to show to her that even in the most adverse, horrendous situation, you can find happiness, you can be really strong even when you don't feel like you necessarily are, and you can continue to push boundaries and push back. And for me, the boundary that I continue to want to push is this idea that a stage 4 cancer patient is laying around sick all the time. They look really ill, and there's nothing they can do to help themselves. And for me, I want to show my daughter that, you know, that you can still do everything you want to do, even in the most adverse and scary times. And so I think having her has just been the driving focus for how I am as a cancer patient and a mum. And I have a lot of guilt as well. I mean, obviously I had her and then got diagnosed, and that wasn't the plan. So I want to be as well as I can for as long as I can, really, for her.
My name is Charlotte Waters and I am a photographer.
You did a photo shoot on the anniversary of Caroline Flack's death.
Yeah.
What made you do this?
So Caroline tragically took her life from repercussions of what people said, not nice things. So I thought it'd be really nice for myself and my friends to get together and do something to make my friends feel amazing, raise awareness, to make people believe that it's okay to be themselves, and also it's okay not to be okay, and to talk. I am very much a person who cares too much about what other people think about me, definitely. And I think words hurt, they do really hurt. But you can pick people up instead of knocking people down, definitely.
So if you had a message for other women watching,
Yeah.
what would it be?
Be kind, just be kind, and support each other, definitely, because there's so much jealousy in everything, and I think it's a much nicer feeling to make someone feel better about themselves than to just rip them apart.
Elizabeth Lindsay. Bit of a shock, right in the middle of lockdown. They hadn't been calling people for mammograms, and suddenly they did, and I thought I'd missed my last one. They called me in, I went along, had the mammogram, completely easy, painless, skipped away, thought that's the end of it, and then 10 days later I had a call to say, I think there's something we need to have a little look at, and I thought, oh, mistake on the machine, and I walked in and there were my breasts on the screen with the cancer showing. I was in a different world for a few months, and really I'm here now and everything is fine. I've had 2 lots of checkups, they've all been clear. Carried on with life absolutely as normal, if not a bit more vibrantly. And really the big thing about it has been all the girls around me, all the ladies around me. I met several years ago when I retired, I met a group of women that walked into their gym, met this group of women, and since then we have been firm friends, meet up all the time for birthdays, lunches, coffees and so on. And they were just there with me the whole time. They just were there. They were there all the time for me, no matter how good, how my day was or bad, they got the lot and they were just lovely. All I would just say is don't put off your mammogram. I think during the lockdown, since lockdown, only 2/3 of women have actually attended their mammograms. And as they say, there's probably 8,000 women out there with breast cancer that don't know. Just do it. It's a little bit uncomfortable. It's rarely painful. Just do it. Just keep an eye on yourself. Look, feel, touch. You know what's different. And if you think it's different, even if your doctor doesn't, just keep pushing. I know of 4 people in early 30s who have breast cancer. So just younger ladies, check yourself and keep checking yourself and keep asking questions. In the end, someone will listen to you.
So in your recovery process, would you say that that team of women behind you were a massive part to helping you feel better?
Oh, I don't quite know how it would have been without them. My husband, my son, my daughter, all brilliant. But yeah, they were there all the time, asking questions and listening to me, but they were so close to me that I don't know how I would have survived without them.
Melissa Gray. So Gracie was born 10 weeks prematurely. Me and my husband went into hospital because I had reduced movement, and she was quickly rushed out of me. And then it wasn't until a few days after we realised something was quite wrong. She had cerebral palsy amongst a few other things, and she sadly passed away when she was 3 months old. Yes, so the charity is Tiny Toes. They're based at the William Harvey Hospital in Ashford, and it's the neonatal intensive care unit, NICU. And it basically, the charity helps buy anything to anything you can think of that is in a baby unit. It will help towards it, including things not just for the babies and for the care, but for the amazing staff. It helps buy things for them and what they need for their, and also families like us. So when we went in there, they're amazing to our son, who we already had. Little things like arty bits that kept him entertained while we had to have meetings with doctors and stuff. So it just helps all round really. So they're an amazing charity.
Fantastic. And when is Gracie Gray's day?
It will be actually on her 4th birthday, August the 19th of this year.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
And what do you hope to gain from the charity?
The charity, obviously money, lots of money for them, and I would love to raise awareness for lots of different things, reduce movement, that's a very important thing for me, and cerebral palsy, and also grief for families, mothers, fathers especially. Enjoy it as much as you possibly can, enjoy it, but any form of reduced movement, any concerns whatsoever, give them a call, go in, don't be worried. Don't be worried to just keep pestering, because that's what they're there for.
And the last thing I want to ask you, Mel, and I think everybody wants to know, is how do you look so amazing running around after 3 small boys?
Because I have 3 children.
Hannah. So the Wellness Project is at my daughter's school at Tenterton Infant School. They've got a really nice playground, but it's just like concrete, a bit of play equipment, and that's kind of it. And we wanted like a space for them to go and like, not relaxing, but just like spend time together and just like a calming wellness kind of area. So we came up with a plan that I'd do loads of mini sessions to raise money because they've got this space, and it was like an overgrown jungle. They'd not used it in years and years and years, but it's a big space, like it's a really good space. So we raised money with mini sessions and photo shoots to completely clear the area. So we've done that, we've done step 1. Step 2 is to like level it, because there's a big unused pond in there, so it needs completely leveling. And then the next step is I've done a design to have like little concrete paths going around that they're going to do like mosaic tiles on together in school, and then big pergola-y area for an outdoor, just time to spend outdoors together. If it's raining they can still go out there because we'll put a roof on it, and a little walkway with like wind chimes and like just nice sounds, and just a nice space for them to go and just relax in the playground together. Oh God, that's a good question, isn't it? So I started The Life Narrator, which is like my first business. I started that in 2014 because I was looking for a wedding photographer and I couldn't find one because no one was doing what I wanted. It was all like the 90s kind of rigid style, and it just wasn't me, and I couldn't find what I was looking for anywhere. And I was already doing like photography and stuff, so I was like, I can do it better. I'm gonna do it myself. Like you do. I was like, it'll be easy, I can do it. And so I started doing like £20 shoots in the local park for families, and it was really popular. So I kept on doing it, and then I quit my job as a vet nurse because I thought, no, I can do this. And then obviously you don't actually make that much money doing £20 park shoots, so I work for Vets Now, like an emergency company, and carried on doing it on the side. And then I had Isabel, my first child, and I was like, oh my God, I can't go back to doing night shifts. It's not gonna happen up in London. So I quit vet nursing again and started the photography properly, and it went wild. I don't know what happened, but yeah, it blew up and it got bigger and bigger every year. And I've kind of just gone with the flow because I don't really have a clue how to run a business or start a business or do anything to do with business at all. But yeah, I've just kind of learned as I've gone, and it is where it is now. I am wild.
Yes. Love that.
I am a good nan.
I suppose I'm enough. I am fighting for my children, and I am fighting for a better world.
Amazing. Thank you so much.
I am mother. I am tired, but I am enthusiastic.
I am fearless.
I am compassionate.
I'm a mum. That's me.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm brave. You don't choose to be in that club of having breast cancer, but I do feel like I'm a survivor and a very lucky lady to be here.
So be kind.